The United States Air Force is eager to save its new sixth-generation stealth fighter jet, the Next Generation Air Dominance NGAD, and rightfully so. According to experts, these fast and stealthy NGADs could be crucial in a future war with China. Moving away from NGAD could be dangerous. If the Air Force continues to plan an apocalyptic confrontation with China's Air Force over the Western Pacific Ocean, it will need NGAD, stressed Deptula, a military expert. Especially in a long war like the one that has been raging in Ukraine for more than 2 years. Last year, the Air Force fully committed to NGAD and plans to spend tens of billions of dollars to develop and build as many as 200 supersonic jets by the 2030s. However, the costs of nearly everything else the Air Force wants to acquire are rising, in particular the Lockheed Martin F-35 stealth fighter and new ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads endangering the NGAD effort. It may delay or even cancel NGAD in the next budget cycle. We have to make those choices, make those decisions. Across the landscape, one general said at an aviation industry event in early June. The aircraft, which is slowly emerging from the design phase of the NGAD program, is threatening to become prohibitively expensive. With its advanced sensors, radar-evading stealth technology, new engine designs, and compatibility with a new class of high-performance unmanned aircraft, each NGAD jet could cost $300 million, the USAF secretary told media recently. That's more than 3 times the cost of the F-35. It's a very expensive platform, he said. We can only afford it in small quantities. Reducing that number can lower overall costs, but only slightly. Research and development costs are the same whether the Air Force buys 200 NGAD aircraft or just 100. And cutting airframes actually increases per unit production costs by reducing economies of scale in parts purchases. Additionally, if the Air Force were to replace about 180 Lockheed Martin F-22s without cutting entire squadrons from the force structure, it would need about 200 NGADs. So perhaps the cost savings come from the redesign. One of the highlights of the NGAD will be the jet's advanced adaptive engines, which will change shape to change airflow. Instead of 2 airflows, as seen in current turbofan engines, adaptive engines will have 3. A third airflow can be directed into the engine's core flow, increasing thrust for top speed, or alternatively can be fed into a bypass flow to provide greater fuel efficiency and cooler exhaust, useful for making a fighter's infrared signature more stealthy. Currently, the Air Force is relying on the NGAD program to drive the move to adaptive propulsion. If the Air Force scaled back its ambitions, perhaps accepting engines only slightly more advanced than the F-22's powerful Pratt & Whitney F-119, they could shave tens of millions of dollars off the price of each NGAD and still field the world's most powerful fighter. The path forward remains unclear, even as the Air Force tries to convince the U.S. Congress to allow it to retire about 30 of its oldest F-22s as a cost-saving measure, a proposal that Congress has rejected for now. The next big decision point will emerge next year, when the Air Force begins considering its proposed 2026 budget,